Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, just thinking about it? You know, that little voice in your head wondering what AI really means for your job, for your career? Well, today, we are jumping right into that exact question.
I mean, just imagine it for a second. You wake up tomorrow, and a brand new AI can do the most important parts of your job. And not just cheaper, but way faster and maybe even better. It's a pretty unsettling thought, right? And for a whole lot of people, it's becoming a very, very real source of anxiety.
So before we get into all the crazy numbers and economic forecasts, let's just start with the human side of this. Because that feeling, that sense of dread, it's not just in your head. Turns out it's a huge psychological thing that's happening to a lot of us.
Yeah, it's not some vague feeling. Researchers at the University of Florida actually gave it a name, AI replacement dysfunction, or AIRD. They call it an invisible disaster. And it makes sense, right? This constant threat of becoming obsolete, it's creating some really serious mental health challenges. It's basically the fear of being left behind.
And you are definitely not the only one feeling this way. A recent Reuters survey found that a whopping 71% of Americans are worried about this exact same thing. So here's the bottom line. If you're feeling anxious about AI in your job, you're in the majority. It is one of the defining anxieties of our time.
Okay, so we've established the feeling is real, and it's everywhere. But what are the actual facts on the ground? Let's take a look at the data, because the sheer scale and, honestly, the speed of this change is what makes it feel so different.
All right, here's a number that'll really make you pause. Research from OpenAI, you know, the folks who made ChatGPT, found that a staggering 80% of the US workforce could see at least 10% of their daily tasks impacted by this tech. Let that sink in for a second. This isn't some niche thing affecting a few jobs. We're talking about almost everybody.
And then you have McKinsey, coming at it from a different angle, with another mind-blowing number. Their research says that technology that exists right now could theoretically automate activities that account for 57% of all work hours in the US. Now, they're super clear. This isn't a prediction of how many jobs will be lost. It's a measure of what's technically possible. But wow, it just shows you how deeply the very idea of work is about to be transformed.
And this slide right here, this is where the speed of it all just hits you. Take a look at the jump in performance from GPT 3.5, that's the blue bars, to GPT 4, the green ones. I mean, look at the uniform bar exam for lawyers. GPT 3.5 barely scraped by. One version later, GPT 4 is scoring in the 90th percentile. This isn't slow, steady progress. It's a massive, almost overnight leap in what these systems can do. And that acceleration is exactly why we're having this conversation right now.
And you can see how the job market is already reacting. Job postings asking for AI fluency have exploded, like 7 times more in just 2 years. At the same time, you can see demand for more routine stuff, like basic data entry or even first draft writing, is starting to fall. Why? Because AI is getting really good at handling those kinds of tasks.
Which, of course, brings us to the great debate, the big question at the heart of all this. Is AI going to be our new indispensable partner, our co-pilot, freeing us up to do more important work, or is this just a straightforward story of replacement?
So on one side, you've got the rosy partnership vision. This is the future McKinsey and others talk about, where AI does all the boring grunt work and humans get to focus on the big picture, strategy, creativity, managing people. But then, there's the other side, the doomsday scenario. A forecast from a firm called Citroni seriously spooked Wall Street when it mapped out a future with mass layoffs in white-collar jobs, sending the economy into a tailspin.
This quote from Citadel Securities really nails the optimistic argument. Think about it. Microsoft Office didn't get rid of office workers. It became a tool they couldn't live without, making them way more productive. So the question is AI just the next step, like a super-powered Excel, or is it something else entirely? Well, the truth is probably not so black and white. It's not a simple either-or. The future isn't written yet. In fact, economists at Rabobank have come up with 4 totally different scenarios for how this could all shake out.
Okay, so let's run through these real quick. The best case scenario is what they call Goldilocks. High productivity, high demand, everybody wins. Awesome. But then you have excess capacity, where we get all the productivity gains, but the money only flows to the people who own the AI, making inequality way worse. There's also a false dawn. Think the dot-com bubble all over again. Lots of hype, but no real results. And the worst case, struggling stagnation, where things get so unequal that it actually sparks social unrest. The big takeaway here is that none of these futures are guaranteed. It all comes down to the choices we make.
So, if our future really depends on the choices we make right now, what are people actually proposing we do?
How do we even begin to build a safety net for what could be the biggest economic shift in our lifetime?
Well, one of the biggest and most talked about ideas out there is Universal Basic Income, or UBI. This is the idea that every citizen gets a regular, no-strings-attached payment to cover basic needs and provide some economic stability.
And you can see the logic pretty clearly in this diagram. As AI leads to more job displacement, that creates a ton of economic insecurity. UBI is basically proposed as a way to step in right there to create a financial floor that nobody can fall below, helping to reduce poverty and keep the economy from going off the rails.
But, and this is a huge but, UBI is not a magic solution. Experts are really clear on this. It can only work if it's part of a much, much bigger plan. We're talking about huge investments in continuous education and job retraining. We're talking about totally rethinking our social safety nets for a new era. And we're even talking about creating policies that encourage companies to build AI that helps humans, not just replaces them.
So all of this, the anxiety, the mind-boggling numbers, the debate about what to do, it all really boils down to one final critical question.
This quote from a recent UN report just says it all, doesn't it? AI is racing ahead, and many countries are still at the starting line. The technology is moving at light speed, but our governments, our schools, our policies, they're all just trying to catch up.
And that's really what it comes down to. The AI revolution isn't on its way, it's here. The great skill shift is happening now. The debates are happening now. The only real question left is, are we going to be ready for it? Are we preparing